Hi everyone, this is Marco Fujimura again from my studio in Princeton, and I was just sharing about this book being brought into soft cover. And for you subscribers, first of all, thank you for supporting I Am Culture Care and how we can be agents, cultural catalysts, or artists who care about our culture rather than fighting culture wars in a scarcity mindset. We want to bring abundance into everything we do. And I want to thank you for your journey with us. And I want to share a little tip of how I have published five books, and I've learned a lot in the process. And if you are attempting to publish something, for example, what I suggest is that before you approach a publisher, you think about your own success metric of what success is. So define success in your own terms as far as your project, your writing goes. What I mean by that is there's a way of writing for an audience, or there's a writing drive itself in certain direction that you may not want to have that market uh, conception behind it. So most publishers are very transactional because they have to survive, right? They have transactional market goals that often will conflict with your inner reflections or side of you that is coming out in your writings. And it's good to know before you approach a publisher what your goal is. Is it to write for commercial success? Then you have completely different way of approaching that. And publishers, would ask you to do things that you may be uncomfortable if you are not doing that. And there's nothing wrong with trying to find commercial success. Same thing with art. It can exist in a transactional marketplace. Of course it can. But the way that we approach our creativity and imagination is not necessarily just that, right? So there's this other way of writing, which I think I fit into, which is to write with a voice that you find yourself reading. It's your own writing, but the writing begins to speak back to you. It has its own identity, it has its own sub-creation world that seems to speak to your soul. And so you follow that and you kind of ignore all these things that the world is looking for in terms of what that wants. So you end up writing, following the North Star, as it were, in your own writing. And you're trying to find your integrity in that. You're discovering things. And that's the way I write. So I don't write necessarily for transactional sales. I have always written for long tail effect of readership, hopefully growing to understand my voice and my interests, but it's really not just mine, but the writing itself giving us a direction. And I believe that it has integrity of its own. So I am releasing into the world, in a sense, as we would want to raise up our children and release them into the world, that there's something about this process that is very mysterious and powerful. And so all of my books seems to do better several years after it's been published because it takes a while for people to understand what I'm really talking about. And I am very fortunate that that cycle has given me second and third life, Refractions, Culture Care, they're all publishers came back to me later and said, we want to not only reprint this, but give you an opportunity to amplify it. So I am deeply grateful for that because that means there's an enduring readership out there who cares about what I discovered, right? The voice that I discovered in each of my books. So that's a little tip. I will talk more about marketing and how transactional market works, and some ways that you can negotiate that next time. But God bless you in your work. I hope this is helpful. Again, thank you for supporting I Am Culture Care through the subscription. All the funding goes to editing of our newsletters and promoting the movement of culture care that is all over the world now, people who are endeavoring to care for their culture. So thank you for your part in making a world a better place.